I have a message from the Tea Party. We've come to take our government back.
Over the establishment, over the status quo, even over Washington, D.C.
Two big outside winners last night, Rand Paul and Joe Sestak, going on to the next phase of their battle for Senate seats.
Giants are falling and campaign season is upon us. Top Line starts right now.
Hello and welcome to ABC News' Washington Post Top Line. I'm David Challey.
And I'm Rick Klein.
Each weekday we're bringing you the very latest political headlines, reporting, insight, analysis, everything you need and want to know about politics.
And since the day after an election is better than the election day itself, it's twitter.com/theNote.
That is such a truism in our business. There's no doubt. Get us started.
Arlen's exit. The biggest name to fall in 2010 is Senator Arlen Specter, who, of course, abandoned the Republican Party to avoid a divisive primary there, and instead he runs into a buzzsaw in the Democratic primary. Joe Sestak beats him. The White House, of course, has a little bit of egg on their face because they talked him into switching parties. But the bigger issue for them, of course, is going to be what happens in the fall. And if they're able to hold on to the seat and Joe Sestak wins it, maybe no harm, no foul.
Right. And clearly, if they thought it was massively in jeopardy, they would have been doing more at the end here for Arlen Specter if they thought that Sestak had no chance in the fall. It'll be interesting to see if they can hang on and what they will do for Blanche Lincoln in her runoff. Where's the wave? Well, we still expect Democrats to lose dozens of House seats this fall. There's no doubt about that. But we got a big clue last night in that special election in Pennsylvania 12, that huge Crits victory there in Jack Murtha's district. And that is, Republicans now are going to need to figure out what to change about their approach. They've lost now several special elections in a row. This district is that kind of district, as we talked about, Rick, for the last several days, that they really need to have in the win column. They didn't just fall short by a little bit. They fell short by a lot. This was a big loss for Republicans. And now the Democrats are starting to feel a little confident that they're building a dam that can hold back a 40-seat flood.
Now, the margin, of course, is what given a lot of people second thoughts about all of this. I think a lot of people are surprised by that. The other side of the equation is, though, if only Democrats could all run against Nancy Pelosi and the Obama health care plan, then maybe you'd be safe in all these places. He was uniquely qualified to be able to do that as a true outsider, not as easy for incumbents. Tea Party on. It's the biggest win yet for the Tea Party set. It is a Rand slide in Kentucky. Rand Paul beating the establishment favorite Trey Grayson, and it wasn't even close. Rand Paul beating back a lot of skepticism about his campaign. Not clear that he is necessarily the strongest Republican candidate, although no indication that this is likely to lean Democratic anytime soon. But the Tea Partiers have a new champion.
No doubt about that. I like your landslide victory. Although I'm not sure that a golf course is the best place to have your victory speech if you're trying to be a man of the people.
West Side Tiger.
Take two. The Obamas put on their second state dinner tonight. Yes, and hopefully the Salahis will not be showing up, since that dominated far too much of our attention last time around. The president of Mexico did arrive this morning to the White House and on substance was quite clear in his opposition to the Arizona immigration law while standing there on the South Lawn with the president. I mean, he said this morning that he thinks that law forces his people to face discrimination.
And there's domestic politics at play here, but it is extraordinary to have a foreign leader come in and criticize an individual state's law, a U.S. state's law like that. Of course, President Obama doesn't like it either.
You're not invited to the state dinner?
No, okay. I'm not crashing either. Promise.
We begin with the big races from last night. We're joined by Representative Kevin McCarthy, Republican of California, and it is his job to recruit Republican candidates to win in the House and to help your party take over the majority. And you really took a bad loss here last night, sir. What happened here in Pennsylvania 12 that you are going to learn from now? What is the adjustment you're going to make because of your inability to win that race last night?
We'll look at a couple different things in this race. It was a general election and a primary. The Democrats had an intensity of turning out in the primary. I mean, 20,000 more Democrats turned out in this primary than they did 2 years before. The Democrats got to pick when the special election was, and that's because you had the race with Sestak going forward. You had the governor's race, intensity there. And also remember, the candidate who won ran against Washington and all the Democrats. Now, they won't be able to do that in November. And a little history, in 2006, when Republicans still controlled the majority, they had a special election in California, and Republicans won it and then went on to lose the majority as well.
Well, I mean,
so keep it in perspective.
But all right, let's hone in on this, though. I mean, this is the kind of district that Republicans really need to be winning. It's the McCain district, and it flipped from 04 to 08. You look at this, there's really nothing that you say we need to re-strategize, rethink?
Well, no, there's a couple different things. Intensity, but it's going to be a fundamentally different time in November because you're not going to have intensity on one side and not on the other. You're going to have everybody turning out. Independents in this race normally cannot vote in a primary, and they're confused that this was a general, couldn't turn out. But we have to build the base. We have to have turnout. That's where we made our mistake. We had to have greater turnout in this process, and we just didn't get it. But the Democrats had the intensity on other races that helped build that turnout.
Right.
Now,
Congressman, I get the idea of you're saying that they had that you guys think they had an advantageous environment that they won't have in November in this district, but you guys poured more than $1 million into this race. It wasn't, I mean, you guys thought this was going to be razor close, and in the end it wasn't. You said you made a mistake on turnout. How do you solve that mistake going forward? What are you going to do to adjust?
That's a couple different things we're going to have to analyze, because why does the polling show that we were close the whole time and then it not be close on election night? That's a mistake on our part. That's a mistake with our investment that we have to make a correction to. Now, we've got another special election coming up at the end of this week in Hawaii, the birthplace of this president, which Republicans haven't held for quite some time. Democrats have recently pulled out after pouring a lot of money in there, and we'll see what the outcome is there as well. If you were able to win in Hawaii, that's a much different win in a lot of different other places.
We saw a big night for the Tea Partiers, and it wasn't just in the Rand Paul race. In Kentucky's 3rd district, we saw a Tea Party challenger beat the favored candidate of the NRCC. One of your young guns went down in a pretty lopsided defeat yesterday. What does that tell you, and are you concerned about that similar dynamics playing out in other primaries, or is that a one-off?
No, I think that's very helpful. I mean, look, this is an anti-incumbent year. We believe in the free market of ideas, and you got to be strong going throughout. Will make you only stronger in the general. I think, for perspective, this just does not bode well for Democrats. They are the majority of the incumbency here. They are the policies of the majority bringing out, and you saw last night a wake-up call on both sides of the aisle said no to what's moving from the top leadership on both sides.
And other than the mechanics, Congressman, what about messaging? We saw in that Pennsylvania race, Tim Burns, your candidate, the Republican candidate, really focus entirely on sort of bashing the Obama-Pelosi agenda. That in and of itself as a message doesn't just put aside the turnout issues that you've discussed before, but that alone as a message doesn't seem to be sufficient to get you to 40 seats. Does there need to be another piece there?
Oh, there needs to be another piece. You have to say what you're for, but also remember the candidate who won also bashed Pelosi and Obama. He said he wouldn't vote for health care. He said he was pro-life and pro-guns. He ran against the Democrats. Now, you can't do that in November if you're a Democrat incumbent congressional member because you voted for those policies. So that was a unique situation in one. But also, I think from a Republican's point of view, it'll get you to a certain point laying out what the Democrats have done wrong. We have to be for something. We have to lay out our agenda. We have to show a better direction for America and a more prosperous one. And that's probably where we need to improve.
So where does that mean? What has to happen now over the next 5 months or so where you can feel more confident going into races that are going to be closely divided like this one?
Look, don't misconstrue what I'm saying. I still believe we got a great opportunity in November. Don't pick this one little incident. Watch another little special coming as well. But also from a perspective, we have to be more forthcoming in our agenda of where we're going and what our hope and desire for America is. And I think that will be the needed difference in the elections coming forward.
I know this is a little inside baseball, but what about the organization of the NRCC in and of itself? We're now looking at a 2-year period where you guys have lost, I think it's 6 straight special elections, 5 competitive special elections over the last couple of years. Is it money? What is not happening inside that organization to prepare for these specials?
Look, we'll go back and we'll audit to see what's going forward. We had a good candidate. We had a tough district, and the problem is timing is everything, no matter what happens in politics. We didn't get to pick the time. The Democratic governor got to pick the time of the election. The Democrat they selected ran against Democrats. So I think there's places we can improve, laying out our agenda. There's places we can improve with turnout, but I think you'll see a stronger NRCC coming out of this. The one thing that's changed in the NRCC is we learned from our mistakes. We will learn from this race, and we'll only improve. Watch a week from now.
You still going to win the majority in November?
I think we got a great opportunity to win the majority in November.
Congressman Kevin McCarthy, Republican of California, thanks a lot for being here today. Appreciate it.